In this video, we're going to set up native in-app purchases for your Lovable mobile application. So yes, you heard right, you can use RevenueCat with their beautiful, high-converting RevenueCat paywalls and have native in-app purchases automatically integrated inside of that, all while still using Lovable to build your mobile application, and it'll be able to go right into the App Store and Google Play Store. So let's start with the whole cross-platform setup right now. So first of all, you want to have a RevenueCat account. This is the whole foundation of setting this up. So let's just create one. I already have one, but we want to just log into our RevenueCat account, right? And now we're going to go to all projects and we're going to create a new project. So I'm just going to name this based on my project. So this will be Paywall. There you go. Let's go on create project. Now we need to link this with the store. So let's create a new app configuration. Let's start with the App Store because that's where we will probably make the most money on. And now we need the app bundle ID. For that, in Lovable, we can't directly get the bundle IDs and the store publishing set up in Lovable, but we can use Despia to add native features such as RevenueCat paywalls into Lovable with the Despia NPM package, and then we can use Despia's web interface to publish it to the Google Android and the Apple iOS App Store. So this is what we're going to do. Now, if you go into your Despia project on Publish App, you go to Apple iOS, you will see the app bundle ID inside of here. Just copy this bundle ID that is assigned to your application, go back to RevenueCat, and then just paste this one right inside of here. Now we need the in-app purchase key. That's very simple. Just go to the App Store Connect, Users and Access, and then you go to Integrations, right inside of here. Then you go to in-app purchase under keys, and then we're going to create a new key. Let's call this Paywall RevenueCat for this application here that I'm working with. Okay, let's go on create. And now we have this new key created inside of here, right? So I can just download the key. Okay, now we have it downloaded right inside of here. Let's go back to RevenueCat. Let's copy or let's move this key inside of here. And now the only thing we need is the issuer ID. So we simply go back to the App Store Connect and we will see issuer ID. We just copy this issuer ID. There you go. And now we're going to go back to RevenueCat. We'll paste this one right inside of here. And then the last thing we need to do is do the App Store Connect API integration. So for that, we go back to the App Store Connect, and now we're not going on in-app purchase, but we're going to go to App Store Connect API. So we will click on here, and now we will go a little bit more down here. We go to Active, and I'm going to create a new one. Let's call this Paywall RevenueCat, and the access will be App Manager. So let's generate this one. And now we have this one in here. Let's download this. And now we're going to upload this into RevenueCat as well. So RevenueCat can import and manage the products. So we just take this file here, this auth key file, and we're going to drag this inside of RevenueCat. Now we need to, again, get the issuer ID. So we go back to the App Store Connect. We copy the issuer ID inside of here. Let's go back to RevenueCat and paste this inside of here. Now we need the vendor number. For that, we can click on this link if we're already logged in. It will take us to our vendor page. We can copy this link. We can close this, and we can paste the vendor number right inside of here. So now we can save the changes, and now the integration with the App Store Connect, the App Store, and RevenueCat is all set up. So now we need to actually link it with the app, but we'll do that in a little bit. Now we go back to apps and providers. We have the App Store linked. I also want to show you how to do it with Google Play Store with the Android store. Now, if you don't care about Android, you can skip the step. Same as with Apple. If you don't care about Apple, you can skip the Apple steps. But we're now going to add another configuration for Google Play Store. Okay, for this, I need my Google Play package name. To get that, we go back to Despia, and now we go from Apple iOS to Google Android, and we will just copy the bundle ID for Google Android. We call it bundle ID, they call it package name. Let's copy this. Let's go back to Revenue Cat. We're going to paste this one right inside of here, and that's it. Now we need a service account with some credentials set up. So for that, we want to take a look at their documentation because we just need to copy a little bit back and forth here. So in their documentation, they will have a couple of things that we need to do to get this working successfully. So what you want to do, go on this little icon here, and you will see Google Play documentation coming from the site. What we need to do is we need to go on Setup, and then step 1, enable the Google Developer and Reporting API. We need to go to the API console here with Google Cloud, and we need to, first of all, create a project. So I don't have a project yet for this app. I mean, technically, you would have to have one for the app. Otherwise, how would you be using Despia or log in with Google? But let's assume I don't have one yet. I would go on here. I would create a new project on console.cloud.google.com. We'll create a new project. It's free. And I have reached my limit, so I need to request an increase. Ooh, it's a whole process. So I'm just going to pretend like I need to delete some projects. 1 second. So let's pretend I just created a new project, even though I just recycled an old one. We're now in our project, and now we need to create a service account. So, Revenue Cat has certain permissions. For that, we go on this menu navigation bar. We go on IAM and admin, we go to service accounts, and now we're going to create a new service account. The service account name will be Revenue Cat. There you go. And then I'm going to create and continue. I will select the role, and now we need to select the roles accordingly. So let's go back to Revenue Cat. Their documentation is a little bit confusing, because you have the roles all the way down here. They are under point 2, right? So let's do this. Let's go to step 2 real quick. This is create a service account, or Google Cloud Console, and they will just tell you how to do that. But if you go here under point A, create and name the service account key, credentials, and add roles, you will see on this step, grant the service account access to project, you'll add 2 roles. We do pub sub editor. We'll just copy that from their documentation. We will go back into the service account, paste this in here. We'll do pub sub editor. We will add another role. This role now will be, I think it's monitoring viewer, right? Yeah, we copy this monitoring viewer. We will copy this role. We'll paste this inside of Revenue Cat. And then there's one thing that we also want to do, because this is important. There is an issue with their API where you actually need to also do pub sub admin as well, just to make sure it works correctly. Sometimes Google restricts the editor's access to certain things. So we're now going to do pub sub admin as well. Let's close this and let's go on continue. And now we have the service account generated. So we go on done, and now we're good to go. Now we need to create a key for the service account. But before we do that key creation, let's copy this email here for the service account. Let's go to the Google Play console. Let's go back to all apps in the console. And now we're going to go to users and permissions. Under users and permissions, we're going to invite a new user by clicking on those 3 dots or a blue button that you may also have inside of there. We will paste this email for Revenue Cat. And now we set the account permissions. We will just go to account permissions here, and now we will select the account permissions. To get the account permissions, we need to look at their documentation a little bit more. There you go. If you go to point 3, grant financial access to Revenue Cat, you will see grant the following permissions. And you will see the first one is view app information and download bulk reports, read only. So we go to here, we see view app permission and download bulk reports, read only. Now let's go back to their documentation. The next one is view financial data, orders, and cancellation survey response. So we go back to the Google Play console, and we will do we will go under financial data, view financial data, orders, and cancellation survey responses. We're going to select this one. Now we're going to go back to Revenue Cat, manage orders and subscriptions. Now we go back to the Google Play console, we see manage orders and subscriptions, and we will enable this one. That's it. Let's invite the user, let's send the invite, and now Revenue Cat has access. So let's go back to the Google Cloud Console here. Now we go to the actions here, and we do manage keys. Now we're going to go somewhere. No change. Okay, there you go. Now it loads. Now we go on add key here. It's this button, and we create new key. Now we're going to select JSON. It's already the recommended option. Let's go on create, and now this will download a file. As you can see, a file was downloaded inside of here. So now I will go back to Revenue Cat. We can close the documentation for now. We'll need it though. And let's go back to the file downloads, and let's drag this latest file inside of here. There you go. Now this looks good. We got the service account uploaded. Now we collapse the financial bucket data. Now this is something that you can do if you already have an existing account, but we're starting fresh, so we don't need to set this up. So we can now save the changes here in Revenue Cat. And now when we reload this page, you will see that there is an error message coming through. Or there should be. Now there isn't any, but it's probably because the key is still provisioning. Now, let's assume there would be an error message, and you need to do this anyway if there is an error message or not. You need to go back to this I button here and go back to the documentation, because we still need to enable some permissions to this account. So, as you can see, let's go back to point 1 in their documentation. Point 1 is, and the step 3 under point 1, it says go to Google Play Android Developer API page. Click on this first link, and this should be enabled. If it's not enabled, there will be a blue button saying enable. Just click on that, but you're good. There you go. Now we click on the second link, Google Play Reporting API, and you see the second link is also enabled. Again, if it's not enabled yet, please enable it, click on the button enable, and then go back to Revenue Cat. Very important. They need to be enabled. If you don't enable them, you're going to get some troubles with the whole integration. So now this is good that they're already integrated. That's probably why we're not getting the error. But there is another thing that we need to grant access to that's a little bit hidden. So as you can see, you need to enable the PubSub API for Google Developer Notifications. It's this blue box in their documentation. And it says, while you're in Google Cloud Console, get a head start on setting up Google Real-Time Developer Notifications by ensuring Google Cloud PubSub is enabled for this project. You can enable it here. Click on there, here. This box is over point 3 in their documentation. Click on here, and now you will go to a link, and you will go on next and enable. And now you have it enabled for this project, so you have it all nicely set up. So we can close this. This should be fine. I think we have everything enabled inside of here. Yeah, I think we're good. Real-time communication, you can enable it here. Now, if we go to their Google Real-Time Developer Notifications documentation itself, there is also step 1, ensure Google Cloud PubSub is enabled for your project. They say you can enable it here. So if you click on here, this will go on next, enable. Yeah, we have it enabled, so we're good. This should now provision it, is already complete. Perfect. Yeah, so we're good with this. We can try reloading the credentials. Now you can see it says valid credentials because it's all nicely set up. There you go. Now, should you get any errors, you will see an error message on the top. Click on that link. It could be that you need to enable some sort of other permission that is required, but then you can go to choose a topic ID and click connect to Google. You just click in this input field and you'll just select the default one. And now you go to connect to Google. Now it's creating the connection. As you can see, it was successful. Now we should be fine. And this should be now all nicely integrated. Offerings capability mode, financial reports bucket, public API key. We're good with this integration. There's nothing else to change. Let's try reloading the page and seeing if there are any error messages popping up. Let's see, credentials still need some validation. No, it's valid. Okay, there you go. This should be it. Now, again, in their documentation, there used to be another stuff that you need to set up for PubSub. Let's take a look at that again. PubSub editor, PubSub. We just did this one. PubSub, Google must be enabled. So if you go here to Google Cloud Console, PubSub API must be enabled. Enable it by visiting your Google Cloud Console platform. If we click on here, let's see if this is also enabled. Yeah, okay, so this is what I want to show you because this is not highlighted at all in their documentation. If you go to this grid here, error handling, right? It's the section in their documentation called error handling, and it says dashboard errors, right? You will see there is a dashboard error. Google Cloud PubSub API must be enabled. Enable it by visiting your Google Cloud Console platform. This error here, click on this link, you will be redirected to this page. Cloud PubSub API. It's very likely not enabled in your project yet, even though I have it enabled because I've done it many times. So make sure to not forget to search for this link. Their documentation has it quite hidden. Make sure to click on enable if there's a blue button saying enable. If it says API enabled, you'll be fine. That's something that's very important to consider because otherwise you will try to bang your head against the wall because you're like, why the heck is this not working? I followed their documentation. It's because they only put documentation to resolve the error, not to get it set up correctly in the RevenueCat documentation. So that's something to be very mindful of. But we should be fine with this. So now we have on app providers here, iOS and Android set up. So now to get this properly set up in our application and to use all the RevenueCat APIs and SDKs, we need to go back into Despia, which is connected with our Lovable project and allows us to convert our Lovable application into a mobile app that can be published to the Apple iOS and Google Play Store, right? Apple iOS App Store and Google Android Play Store, right? And now we need to scroll down here on the Settings tab in Despia, and we need to look for RevenueCat integration. As you can see, we have the RevenueCat integration right inside of here. We need an iOS public SDK key, an Android public SDK key, and a global project ID. So where do we get them? We go to RevenueCat, we go to API keys down here, and now we can see SDK API keys. This heading here will just show both of them. They're public keys, so you don't have to worry about putting them into Despia. Just copy this one for Apple first, go to Despia, paste the iOS one inside of here, Apple matches with iOS, and then we'll take the Google one, this one here, and this one will just go into the Android one, right? There you go. Now we need the global project ID. That's the last thing that we need. So let's go back to RevenueCat. We go to project settings. Under project settings, we'll find the project ID. We will copy this project ID. We will go back to Despia and we'll paste this one right inside of here. Now, this should be it. This is all nicely set up with the integration. Now we can go on Publish App and we can go to Apple iOS and let's start building this for iOS. And then once iOS is done, we just do the same thing with Android and then we should have this all set up. Now, while this is already building, we can already set this functionality up inside of Lovable. So I want to now go with you through some of the prompts that we need to get this working correctly. Also, one thing to keep in mind, if you go to the App Store Connect and go to Business, you need to have your company fully registered with Apple in order to even test in-app purchases. So you need to have your company address, your company name, your tax statements, your bank account. You need everything linked. So you need your bank account linked. You need your W-9 or your, I think, W-8 if you're non-US resident, right? You need to have all those tax forms and all those stuff set up. If it's not set up, you won't be able to test in-app purchases. And then if you try to open RevenueCat, it will say something like this product does not exist. It's not that the product does not exist. It's because your company does not exist in Apple's system. Thereby, your product isn't active yet, even for test mode, which is, a dumb rule. but that's just how Apple enforces that to make sure that you put in your tax information so they can report it to the IRS or wherever you're living. So that's just something to keep in mind. Now, if you go back to apps here, we can now go inside of our app, inside of the App Store Connect, and create subscription plans and in-app purchases. Let's take a look at this. Let's start with iOS, and then we'll do the same thing with Android. Let's go to Paywall. In here, this is my application. It's literally called Paywall. And we're going to scroll down here on the side panel, and we will see subscriptions. Let's start with subscriptions because everybody's now selling subscriptions. Everything is a SaaS now. As you can see, you will find subscription groups. Let's create one. I'm just going to call this Pro_Access. I like to name my subscription group based on the entitlement I'm going to create in RevenueCat. So let's create this one. There you go. Now it's going to load a little bit, and this will take a little bit, but now we're in here. Perfect. So now we have the section subscriptions. We can now create a subscription. Let's do one. We'll do a weekly one and a yearly one. So we'll do weekly. The product ID will be weekly _ Pro_access, right? Weekly Pro Access. You can name this whenever you want. Let's create one. So now we have a weekly one. Now this product ID already exists. So I'm just going to do weekly Paywall, put my app name inside of here so it's a little bit unique. Let's create this weekly Paywall. There you go. And now we need to set up a couple of things. We go to subscription duration because this is weekly, right? We need to obviously make sure that the subscription duration is 1 week. It will then automatically auto-renew. Now, under availability, we're going to set up availability. I'm just going to select all countries. Now, under subscription prices, I'm going to add a subscription price. This price is going to be, let's do $4.99 a week. Let's go on next. Let's go on next. Confirm. There you go. That's all you need to do to get the price set up. Now, localization, you do not need that. You can skip it. Now, image, you can upload any 1024 by 1024 image. And as example, I'm just going to upload the Despia logo just for the sake of it. There you go. And then, when you are submitting it to the actual store and you're ready for your application to go live, you need to do 2 things. You need to upload a screenshot of kind of like the screen, how it looks once they have granted the in-app purchase. So once they're in the subscription, what does change? What do they have access to? Upload one screenshot like that inside of this box. And you then write a little description, what the subscription gives them access to, what features they're getting, what benefits they're getting, why it makes sense, so that their humans can review it, because it's their human review process actually. So just make it make sense. And then you do not need to do this while you're testing though. You can now save, and that's it. Now, obviously, we're going to create a second subscription. So we have 2 options they can choose from, and I'm going to show you how you can set that up, that people can choose between 2 of those. But now I'm going to select another, subscription. This one is going to be yearly, and I'm going to do yearly _paywall, right? Let's go on create. The product ID needs to be unique within your account. So it doesn't need to be unique within the world, just within your account. For the yearly one, we're going to do subscription duration, 1 year, right? Obviously. And then availability, I'm going to make it available for all countries. Subscription price, I'm going to make the yearly one like a no-brainer, $39.99 compared to $20 a month. That's usually how you get people to subscribe to a year. And then they forget that they're on the yearly subscription, and then they keep paying for it for the next 20 years. So let's go on next, confirm. There you go. And now we have the setup. Now, localization, we don't really need this, but we could do if you want for different countries. I'm just going to upload an image, but it's optional. You do not need that. Same thing as before. You can add, the review notes once you are ready to go, in front of review. Make sure you add them to explain what those purchases grant access to when you're going to go into app review. Let's save. And now we wait. Okay, So now we have those subscriptions set up. Let me also show you how you can set up a one-time purchase. So if you're trying to do a one-time purchase, like a lifetime plan or some coins or something like this, you can go to monetization here and let's go on in-app purchases. Let's create an in-app purchase. Let's go in here. Let's do, consumable would be if you can purchase it multiple times, such as credits, coins, whatever. Non-consumable would be if you can only purchase it one time, like a lifetime subscription. For this example, I'm just going to make it a lifetime subscription, right? Product ID, lifetime_paywall. I'm just going to make it an option, like a special offer, so they can get lifetime access to our application. For this, you can do lifetime. You can do availability. This is pretty cool. Lifetime would allow you to do something like, there are apps that are like $2.99 to download. Instead of making the app $2.99 in order for it to download it, you could just go and make the app for free, to download it for free, have a great paywall, and then only have them use the app once they pay. It's like a little conversion booster if you're trying to make an app that itself is costing money. Just make it free and then do the paywall so they can't use it unless they paid a non-consumable purchase. Just a little hack. So now availability, we'll set this up to be available in all countries. Now payment schedule, we are now going to go inside of here and this will be like $199. So we'll make this $199. Let's go on next. There you go. Let's go on next, confirm. There you go. And now we have this all nicely set up. Again, we can upload an optional image, and you would now, when you're going to get this into the app review, you would upload a screenshot of what they're getting access to and a little note what this product is even, what was even happening here. So let's save this. So now we have a weekly, an annual one, and a lifetime one. And then you could sell coins. You could do really all kinds of stuff. There's so many use cases for this. Let's go back to in-app purchases. And now we have this inside of here. So now they're all created in the App Store. Now, how do we get them into Revenue Cat? Well, now we go to Revenue Cat. We go to Product Catalog. Now we go to Products. And now under the App Store here, right, under the iOS App Store, we go on Import. And now it's going to import all of the ones that we have created here from Apple. I'm going to select all of them. Let's go on Import. And now they all are imported. Now, because all of them are going to grant access to something, they will all eventually share the same entitlement. Entitlement is what the user is entitled to accessing. But we're just going to not look into that yet, because first we need to import the ones from Android. So now that we have this nicely set up, let's go to the Play Store and create a weekly, a yearly, and a lifetime paywall subscription, or plan / one-time purchase. Let's go to the Google Play console. We go on Home. We open our application. Now we go on Monetize with Play. And now under Products, we start with subscriptions. Now we're going to create a subscription. This create subscription is not the plan that you're trying to create, it's the group. So this will be Pro_Access. I would just have it be the same name. And then we just call this Pro Access here for our application. Let's create this. There you go. Now we have the tasks here. Let's add a base plan. Now the base plan is going to be weekly. And this is just the ID, so let's just do it lowercase. I'm just going to call this one weekly. It will be auto-renewing. You can adjust those settings, but I'll just let them be. And then you go to price and availability. You set your prices. You just select all countries. You will now go on set your price down here. And now the price will be $4.99 US. Let's update the price. And now we have them all set up here. So now we go on save. And now we go on activate. There are no review notes needed with Google Android. And now you have your plan created. Now we add another base plan here. This plan will be yearly. We'll do auto-renewing. And I think I forgot to set the period on the other one. This one will be yearly, right? It will renew yearly. And then we will select, set the prices, select all countries, set the price. This will be $39.99. Let's update this. There you go. Let's save. And then we're going to activate this one here, down there. Perfect. Wonderful. So let's go back. Now we need to adjust this a little bit. The weekly one is set to be monthly because, sometimes you forget that because it's pre-selected. So we recommend a hold period. Ooh, we can't change the period anymore. So I would need to deactivate the weekly one real quick. So, it's a little bit of a process. So now this is inactive. Now we need to create a new base plan. Let's just call this weekly. And now we do auto renewing and we make sure to make this weekly because it's a weekly plan, right? So that this matches. Let's set prices. Let's select all of those. We're going to set the price. This will be $4.99. And let's update this now. And now we're going to save. And the plan is already taken. So I'm going to call this weekly plan just because the ID is already taken. Let's save this. Let's do weekly minus plan maybe. Yeah, that works. Perfect. Let's activate this one. And now we have this all nicely set up. Let's go back to subscriptions. Now we have weekly plan and yearly. So we have weekly and yearly. There you go. Now we need to add in-app products. Those are in-app purchases, one-time purchases, right? And now I'm going to create a product here. Let's call this lifetime, right? This is a lifetime subscription. The name will be lifetime. And now we need to have a description for this. Get unlimited lifetime access to all our amazing features. There you go. The price, we'll set the price. The price will be $199 US. We'll apply the prices. There you go. And we don't want them to purchase multiple ones. So we're good on that. And now we're going to save this and then we're going to just activate this. And now we will activate it. Now it's active. There you go. So now we have our subscriptions and our one-time purchase set up with Android. Now we also need to import them into RevenueCat. So we go back to RevenueCat. We go to Paywall Play Store. We'll import them. Now there's no import available. So we just click on New and then we go on Import Products and now it's going to import them. So we're going to select only the active ones, not the inactive one. Just, remove them. We will take the weekly plan because we messed up the weekly one. We do the yearly and the lifetime. And the lifetime is non-consumable because you can only purchase it once. You can't purchase 2 lifetimes, right? If you're selling coins, diamonds, make sure to set it to be consumable. Let's import. And now they're all imported. So now then all of them are imported. We need to create an entitlement. This will tell us if the user has access to stuff or not. Let's go to the entitlement. Let's create a new entitlement. The entitlement will be pro_access. The description will be pro access. There you go. Oh, pro access. Let's add this new entitlement. This will be the access group, the access permission that all of those plans are going to give them. You can have basic access, pro access, elite access, and then have different subscriptions, grant different tiers of access. But let's go to products here. Now I go to weekly, iOS, and I'm going to attach all of them because we right now only have one access type to pro access. So this one too, attach. This one too, attach. And then for the Android ones as well, we're just going to attach all of them. Perfect. Now all of them are attached. So now we can actually set up the paywall. So let's create the paywall. Now, before we create the paywall, we need to create an offering. An offering is going to be the package of products available in the paywall. Let's go to offerings here. And now we're going to create a new offering. We'll just create a default offering. So let's call this default. There you go. The display name can just be default. There you go. Now I'm going to create some packages for this. So we'll add a package. We'll select an identifier for the package. So this could be weekly, monthly, lifetime, right? Or anything in between. So for this one, I'm going to select weekly. That's going to be the option. Now, usually you want to push people to weekly plans because, it's easier for them to convert and they forget to cancel. But we're now going to do a description. So we do weekly unlimited, right? Okay, and then we do the iOS product. So we'll select the weekly paywall for iOS. This is the nice thing about RevenueCat paywalls. It automatically handles cross-platform capabilities, cross-platform support for in-app purchases. So iOS shows iOS and Android shows Android. Super convenient, super simple, super nice to use. Now we'll do the Android paywall. So we'll select the weekly plan for that because we messed up the other one. And this is good. We don't need backwards capabilities for this. And now we're going to create a new package, another one. This is going to be annual. So this is going to be yearly unlimited. And now we'll select the yearly one and the yearly one in here for both platforms, right? Now we'll create a new package. We're going to add the lifetime one. This is going to be lifetime unlimited, and we'll take the lifetime for iOS and the lifetime for Android. Now I want it to be strategically positioned where the weekly is on top, the lifetime is in the middle, and the annual is all the way down there because lifetime should be a good deal for them. Now you can adjust this based on whatever sales psychology you're following. Let's save this. And now we have our paywall, or at least our offering, our default offering, nicely set up. So now we go to paywalls because now we can create a paywall for this offering. So we're going to create a new paywall for the default offering. Let's add. And now we'll look for the template that works for us. So more than one package, we need to have one tier and purchase method in-app purchase. So let's look for them. Oh, this is perfect. We have the whole thing, app of the year, and there's a cute cat on there. So let's take this one. This works great because now we have a paywall already with a lifetime plan in here. So let's go inside of this here. And you see we have a stack here with 3 packages, right? So we click on the first package. This first package should be the weekly one. So now this will adjust to be the weekly one. This package will be the yearly one, so we'll take the yearly one. And this package will be the lifetime one, so we'll select the lifetime one. This seems to be fine. Now, the lifetime, probably not going to be default. Yearly is probably actually a good default. Now, you don't have to worry about the text that's being displayed inside of here. This is going to be automatically updated on your live app. Now, actually, it's not because of the template. The template doesn't support automatic updates. So we actually need to get their dynamic variables inside of here. So let's remove 30 on this and let's add a variable. For this, there's a couple of variables here that we can do. We can do weekly, week, pro axis. We could just do the period dynamically, but then we would need to have this be uppercase, and I don't think we can do it uppercase. So let's just hard code it. Let's just do week. Let's do 7 days. 7 days, right? This is going to be 12 months, and this is lifetime. This works. Okay, now the price is already the product price. Now, and this will dynamically update in your application because this is already using the variable here, right? You see like the templated text, so it will automatically make it make sense. There you go. Now you can adjust, the reviews that you're showing. You can adjust the stack with the reviews here and all that kind of stuff. And you can just change them and, update this nicely in their preview. You can do app of the year, the download. You can change this like app of the year rated by us, something like that. And then we can change the name. So they have a nice editor. Let's call this Despia native. There you go. And then let's say build mobile apps with Lovable in record time, 0 native code. There you go. Perfect. And then we could, obviously adjust the image, replace the image, select an image. Like let's take the Despia logo inside of here. We can select that. And then we can go inside of here, and I think we can do border, right? We can add a border. And we can't do a border radius. No way. We can do width. Oh, no, actually, we can do border radius. Let's do 15, 25, 30. Yeah, look at that. And then, you can go inside of here and you can adjust the gap and make it smaller. So we can make a width 75 width. And then we'll do width. How do we set height? Height will be also 75, right? And then we can make this 15 or 17. There you go. So we can really style this the way we want it to look. That's the nice thing about RevenueCat paywalls. So now this looks good. We could also change the colors, right? We could, for example, make this kind of purple here, so to match our brand. We can make it purple. Actually, our brand is not purple though. Our brand in Lovable is a different color. It's a specific green. So let me get that green. So you can nicely customize this whole thing here in RevenueCat paywalls. It's a great experience. So let's customize that. There you go. Now, we can go inside of here for restore purchase. We can put this inside of here. It doesn't have to be restore purchase. You can do other stuff with it. So this button could navigate back, for example. So this could be like close paywall if you want, right? Or it could be a web option. Like you could just navigate to, right? You could go to navigate to the web purchase and then do a web purchase with Stripe if you have it configured. And then this could be like save 30% with web purchases. But let's just go to navigate back here, right? Now we want to go to this stack here, this package item, and we can also adjust its styling. So in here, if this is selected, we need the selected color to be the green. And then this selected color can be a little bit more watered down version of the green. Like this, kind of like, right? And then the drop shadow, I don't think we need any shadow for that. Let's see, let's just make it white. Okay, perfect. So we can customize this to our liking. I'm actually not going to go through all the hurdles of customizing this. I'll just let the colors be. Let's see, can I go even further back? Let's see, let's just get the colors back, because if I change the colors, I gotta now change it in a million places, and I don't want to do that. So we can just have this be close offer, right? And then we can, change some of the logic of stuff that's happening, navigate back, all that kind of stuff. So I think this is good for now. So once we're happy with it, we can now save to draft, and we can publish the paywall. So let's select this and let's publish the paywall here. There you go. Now the paywall is available. So we can now close the paywall. We see it's active. And now to open the paywall and to set the whole in-app purchase flow up, we will set this up inside of Lovable. So now we will get the prompt. If we go to lovable.despia.com, this website here, I'll put the link in the video description down below as well, and we go to RevenueCat paywalls, we will have this Lovable prompt here to add support for the paywall. Let's copy this, and now I'm going to tell Lovable a couple of things. Let's tell Lovable, add front-end support for paywalls. Add a button to the dashboard page to open the default offering and make sure that the the external user ID is the ID of the logged in user. Very important, because you need to know who the heck paid, right? So you need to attach the ID to it. Also, in addition to that, you want to make sure that it opens the default offering. So if you're unsure about your offering name, go to Revenue Cat, go to Product Catalog, go to Offerings. This is your identifier, right? So let's go back to Lovable. And now I'm just going to paste the prompt inside of here. And let's implement this. So now Lovable will implement this. And I mentioned, very important, add front-end support. I didn't mention it, to set up the whole backend yet, because I want more granular control, because we need to make sure that, the paywalls, the webhooks, and all that kind of stuff works. So we're just going to have it set up like this. And then I'm going to zero in on the backend support, making sure the webhooks and all that kind of stuff works. So we'll just let it do its thing, and then we'll do the next thing after that. So now Lovable finished the integration. So let's publish the application here, and let's see how this goes, right? Now, it likely set up the webhooks incorrectly. So we're going to take a look at that. I want to just zero in that all the events are covered that are important. So I just want to have a little bit more of a manual control. That's why we do this in steps. The best way to work with AI is going in steps. Let's get this working on the front end, and then we'll worry about the back end. When it usually tries to do everything at once is where it gets some, it creates some chaos. So let's take a look at this together. Let's open the application. Beautiful splash screen. Look at that. And now upgrade to premium. Ooh, and we have a native Revenue Cat paywall. How nice is that? I can continue, and now I have a native in-app purchase. I'm not going to purchase it yet because, it's going to make testing a little bit harder, but I want to make sure that it's set up 100% correct before we're going to do any tests here. So let's ask it, or let's tell it following: make sure we are handling all Revenue Cat webhooks correctly. The user will get following RC Entitlement Pro access if they have Pro access. So I'm going to tell it all the information about Revenue Cat, right? Now the next thing will be, we will need to listen for initial purchases for subscriptions and one-time purchases. We support both. We support both, right? The subscriptions and one-time purchases all will grant the Entitlement Pro access. So remember, we in Revenue Cat under Product Catalog created this Entitlement Pro access, right? And it's linked to all our products here. They all have this entitlement granted. This is now important for Lovable to know, because this is how it, determines which user has access to what. And you can have multiple tiers, right? Subscriptions and one-time purchases all will grant the Entitlement Pro access. Okay, now I'm also going to tell it we have multiple plans, so we also need to listen for plan change webhooks because we may in the future add new entitlements that would set that would set new user roles. That would set new user roles. We do not need to set those up yet. Only the pro access, but it should get the entitlement from the webhooks for plan changes, and set it in the user record in our database. I need our user record to have a column called RC entitlement that will represent the entitlement. Did I write entitlement correctly? RC entitlement that will represent the entitlement from the webhooks, and then I'm going to say this is fine. This is fine for this implementation now. And now I'm though going to attach some documentation from RevenueCat. So if we're just going to go to RevenueCat's documentation, so just copy the tab here and go to their documentation under Help, Documentation. I'm just going to attach all their webhooks, all their webhook documentation, which in this example will be common webhook flows. I'm going to attach this link to Lovable. So I'm just going to go to Lovable. I'm going to say from RC's docs, and I'm just going to say first common webhook flows, okay? And now I'm going to add a second one to this, okay? And we're going to go inside of here. Oh, that's not, there's documentation, right? I'm going to do event types and fields. Okay, let's go inside of here. Event types. There you go. And that should be it. So now it has us all set up. Yeah, that should be fine. Sample events. I think it can crawl them probably. We might as well just add sample events in here if it has some troubles. So let's write a new Lovable message. Let's say, please verify your setup with their sample event docs. Did we set up everything correctly on the webhooks, right? With their in the webhooks. Okay, I'm going to say link. There you go. And then I'm going to take a look at some of the key sample events here. I'm just going to manually actually attach them. So let's just create a new tab here. Boom. Okay. And then we have some sample events here. This would be initial purchase, and we see how it has the entitlement IDs, right? So I'm just going to copy some of the example ones and attach them to Lovable. Let's say example ones. Okay, and I'm going to do first initial purchase, right? And I'm just going to paste this one here. And then I'm going to do two product change. It always focuses out. Product change. And I'm going to go back to theirs. And I'm going to do in here, where do we have that refund? Product change, right? I'm going to copy product change. I just need the key one so it understands how to get the entitlements from the webhook, right? And then I'm just going to paste this one inside of here, and I'm going to say, of course, validate validate all other ones that are critical, but here are some examples on how to get the entitlements. Okay. And now we're going to take a look at their setup here, updated revenue cat tracking. And I'm just going to send this in chat mode because I want the AI to start questioning itself a little bit, so it adds some scrutiny to the code that it generated, especially for something as important as payments, so the whole setup is correctly and we're not just wasting users' money without granting them access, right? So this is very important that we are, putting a little bit of pressure to the AI. Now it's saying I'll verify the Webhook implementation against RevenueCat's sample events documentation. Okay, and this is exactly what I mean by attach those things. It scraped the documentation before and now it found critical issues because it's going to make mistakes. It's AI and you need to supervise it to make sure that it sets at least the payments up correctly, because that can get you in Hell's Kitchen. So let's go in here. Let's go critical issue. Wrong field for entitlements. Looking at the sample events you provided, entitlement ID, entitlements IDs, entitlements. Problem. The current webhook code is looking for an entitlements object, but RevenueCat webhooks actually send entitlement IDs an array of strings containing active entitlement identifiers. Entitlement ID is single string, legacy field, maybe null. Right? The code is trying to access entitlements key expires date, which doesn't exist, so will always fail to extract entitlements correctly. This is why I'm putting scrutiny on the AI, so it doesn't make mistakes. AI is great, it can do lots of things for you, but without human supervision, it's not going to go anywhere well, and it's going to get you in trouble and possibly your app rejected if you don't grant access to purchases. So I want to emphasize those strategies I personally use to set up those applications with AI in this video, so you have this resource to get it done correctly, thanks to the Despia SDKs and the RevenueCat integration. There's a second critical issue, missing event types. So initial purchase, renewal, non-renewing purchase, product change, cancellation, expiration, uncancellation. Those are important, right? You should handle billing issue, subscriber alias, subscription pause, subscription extended, transfer, right? Transfers between users, critical issue, product change handling. So this seems like a good setup. Let's implement that plan. What I like is that it creates a RevenueCat setup markdown file, so it doesn't lose memory and get AI dementia. This seems to be like a new thing that Lovable is doing that I really appreciate, especially for custom implementations like this. Seems to be very cool. So now Lovable will implement this. We got the paywall already working, so we should be already fine. If we take a look at the backend here under users, actually under database, under profiles, we don't have any profiles yet, but we do have users. So we have a user here. Interesting. This is probably new where we have user profiles. So I should probably log into my application again and try creating a new account or remove myself just to make sure that I'm testing this correctly, right? So let's do this actually. This is sometimes something that you need to set up. So let's just wait till Lovable is done and then we'll take a look at that. So now I got great news. It is successfully implemented. I wanted to add one change though. Let's say when the purchase was confirmed after the polling, make sure it updates and refetches all app data to show the latest information from the backend to the now paying user. And then I'm just going to say for debugging purposes, also on the dashboard, add a current entitlement section that will show the user's entitlement. There you go. And now we're just going to send that to it. This is not too important, but let's publish this anyway here. We'll look into the security issues that seem to be now happening inside of here. So we'll get those resolved, and we'll probably need to add some sort of row level security to our implementation. But this was now published, so let's check out the application. Let's open that here. I need to create a new account, so I already logged out. So I'm going to do user, let's close that, user at Despia.com. Okay, and then we're going to go user.despia.com, hello, 1, 2, 3. I'll create a new account, right? And let's sign up. Perfect. Now we're in. Paywall still works. Beautiful. Okay, now we're already validating the purchase. Now there should probably be some timeout to it saying that, but that should be fine. There's some little improvements we can do on the UI. Shouldn't have fixed state, but now we can see the entitlement of the user. So let's update this one more time. We should see now the entitlement being in there. And now what I want to do is I wanted to say, when we are validating the purchase, have it silently fail on the front end, since some users may open the paywall and never pay. There should not be a fixed state after opening the paywall that shows that it's verifying longer than 3 seconds. It should auto reset on the front end while still holding on the front end, but not visible to the end user. This is very important because you don't want the UI to be locked, right? You want the UI to be unlocked so they can, open the paywall, close it again, try purchasing again. You don't want the buttons to be blocked because it verifies and then it just times out after multiple seconds. You want to have a more graceful logic when it comes to validating that. So it's a little bit nicer, it's a little bit more professional, it feels good. But this should be the entire implementation. I think after we are trying this here on our end, everything should be absolutely fine. So we'll take a look at that here. Let's go and let's publish, let's update. And now we'll take a look at this. Let's have this update here. Okay, now it's updating. We'll take a little bit. And then we'll just close the application, open this again. That's the beautiful thing about updates over the air with Despia. So I'm just going to close this application, open it again, and all the changes are now implemented over the air. So, as you can see, we got the plan. Let's upgrade to premium. Paywall opens immediately. Great experience. I feel good, so let's do the 1-year plan today. Let's purchase that. Now, as you can see, the paywall itself is validating the purchase. It will then automatically close hands-free. And now, as you can see, our application will also verify the purchase. It doesn't seem to refresh the application state. It seems it stopped validating the purchase. The plan is still set to be free. So let's try something. Let's try closing the application, opening it again. If the purchase is now anything but the free plan, which you clearly see it did not do, it's not validated. Why it's not validated? Because right now we only have a front-end implementation. We have the whole webhook setup going on, and it's all correctly working on the front end. The issue, though, about the situation is that we have no webhook set up on RevenueCat. So the front-end stuff is all nicely done. Now the last step is hooking it up together and integrating our Lovable cloud or Supabase backend or anything else, literally, with revenue cat. So now I'm going to ask it one thing. What is our revenue cat webhook URL? Because I wanted to show that while it can work on the front end, if you're missing certain parts on the back end, it will effectively not really work in practice, such as it won't grant a permission. So that's something that you need to make sure that you set up with revenue cat webhooks. So now this is our webhook URL. So I'm just going to copy that. And now we're going to go into revenue cat. We go into integrations, right? We go to webhooks. We're creating a new webhook here. Now we're going to call this Lovable. I'm going to paste this inside of here. We'll skip the header stuff. Let's add the webhook, and now the webhook is set up. There you go. So now we can try this again. This is why we have 2 subscriptions. So inside of here, we can go back to Lovable, make sure it's updated. Okay, let's publish that. That's why we have 2. So it's a nice experience here. So let's check that out. This looks good. Let's close the application. Let's wait till this is updated, and then we'll check this out. So let's open this again. Let's open that. There you go. Now it's getting the subscription status. Let's upgrade to premium. Now, I obviously can't do the monthly one anymore, the 12 months, because it's going to fail because the webhooks weren't in sync, right? But what I can do is I can do when I click on here, you see how the 7 turns into a 30. We probably want to fix that on the paywall, but I can try the other one because we're in test mode. So I can switch plans, and because the replace event is working, this should be now all working fine, and we should have this trigger the webhook now. So as you can see, it's verifying the purchase, and now it should hopefully update and the webhook should go through. Now it's still not updating the app. There are a couple of reasons why this could be an issue. Either way, we're not refreshing the app data, which is what I would assume. So try closing the app, try opening it again, and let's take a look at this. Now it still says the free plan. So now we want to look into this because now this looks kind of suspicious. We are in the correct workspace. We have added the webhook URL, but it still seems to fail. So if we're trying to reload this page here in revenue cat, we should see the webhook events. And the webhook events are coming back with an error. This is the error, missing authorization header. This is common for stuff that is built by Lovable. When Lovable creates an edge function, it sometimes creates webhooks with user authentication. Now, obviously, the webhook is not a user of an application, so the webhook should not have necessarily user-based authentication. The webhook has its own authentication with its own authorization header. So, in this example, we need to go to Lovable, and we will tell Lovable that the webhooks fail because of this error. And now I'm going to paste this error that we're getting from it, right? Now here's the thing. We can set a custom header for authorization, so it's secure. Now, please make it a secure password. In this example, I'm just going to do super secure header. This is literally my header. Super secure header. Let's save this. This is my header password. It's set. So now I'm going to tell Lovable, use Lovable's, use revenue cats custom headers to validate the authenticity of the webhook, because what stops someone just calling your webhook if they find out the URL from their terminal? Shouldn't happen. This is the header. Never give this to AI, but because it's super secure header and just for demo purposes, I'm just going to put it inside of here. You should only put it in the secure forms that Lovable gives you to input those environment variables in. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to go back here and I'm going to go to their documentation for the authorization header implementation, and I'm just going to paste this inside of here, and let's send this to Lovable. So it's all working on the front end, or at least as it seems. It's just that the webhooks are not working. So this is why we're looking at the logs. This is why we're validating all the kinds of stuff. This is why, RevenueCat has those great features here to give us an insight on what's happening on our backend and what our backend is returning. This will kind of like show us some of the stuff that's going on, not the way we want it to go on, right? So now it will say I'll fix the webhook authentication by making it public and adding RevenueCat's custom header validation. Now I'll put my custom header in there. Obviously, I didn't have it copied. So let's just put this again inside of here. Let's submit. Only put them in the secure form. Never put them in the chat like I did here. This is a security issue. But now it's validating that. And it's also for a video. So it's not too important. But still something I want to mention because I want to teach best practices here. So now it's updating the application. This should be actually quite quick. It just has to replace, the authentication with the custom header validation, almost like an API key. This is kind of like a password. RevenueCat knows the password. Our backend knows the password. We only let people in with the password. So it's very critical that you keep that one safe. But this is adding extra security. So, people can't call your webhooks from their server and, fake a payload to come from RevenueCat and then get free access to your app. You don't want that to happen. So that's why you set up custom headers inside of RevenueCat. And ooh, Dia is broken again. You see how I'm changing tabs and nothing happens? Would highly not suggest using that browser at all ever. But there you go. Interesting. So now, as you can see, this is all going through. We have this URL here. I hope that it's still the same and looks the same. So here's what it did fix. The webhook now validates RevenueCat's custom authorization header and is publicly accessible. What I did, disable JWT authentication for the webhook, made it public. Added validation for RevenueCat's custom authorization header, perfect. Redeployed the function, perfect. So now we have this already set up and we already have the authorization header set up. So let's publish our app here. Let's publish anyway. Let's hope this works. I don't know, something seems to be off here. Let's see. Maybe it's Dia, maybe it's something else. I don't know. It's still updating. I think I gotta stop recording and get this sorted out with my browser here. I apologize for that inconvenience. So now I did manage to get it to work. So let's open our application again on our mobile device. And now let's try upgrading again. I need to switch. So now I think I need to do the 12-month plan. Yeah, let's first ignore that message here. Let's subscribe to the 12-month plan. You can just switch between them and then you can, get this all working. Now the paywall validates the payment. We're now validating it on the front end. Validation seemed to be successful. Now it did not update our application interface. Let's try something. Let's close this. Let's open the application again. I do hope this is a front end issue, but we're still on a free plan. So let's see what's going on here. If we're now going into RevenueCat and reload this page, we will be able to see what's happening on the backend. As you can see, there was this call right now here a minute ago, and it also, again, was unsuccessful. So we're getting this error back. Let's go to Lovable. Let's tell it the RevenueCat webhooks still fail. And I'm just going to attach the error message that RevenueCat is giving us. I'm now going to go into chat mode because I wanted to reason a little bit more and look into some of the logs. This is how what you can do when you're going into Lovable chat mode. It makes it a little bit smarter here. So we'll take a look at that. I think we're just minutes away from having this fully working. So we'll just let it think about that and we'll take a look at that. But how cool is it? We have paywalls and all that kind of stuff all nicely set up now in our Lovable mobile application. You can even add fallback for web purchases. If people are in the browser or in a PWA, you can have them go to Stripe. So there's lots of stuff that you can set up and lots of stuff that you can do. So we'll just wait till Lovable is done thinking about that. I think it will probably think a little bit about this. So let's make a little cut and we'll be back when it has hopefully a plan implemented. Oh, actually, it's fast today. Look at this. Thanks. The 401 is happening because the function only accepts an authorization bearer secret header, while your webhook is sending a custom header, super secure header. We'll make the function accept either bearer format, so RevenueCat can use custom headers or the authorization header. Here's the fix I'll implement. Bearer, and then just an authorization with no bearer, right? We didn't add bearer to it. You could add bearer to it, but you can also make a smart webhook that automatically makes it make sense, right? So this is something that you can do that should be quite straightforward and simple. So now while this is implementing it, you can see it's now updating the webhook to accept multiple authorization header formats. So you can see it's updating the index TypeScript file. It's editing it now. There you go. It's now working on it. So yeah, let's take a look at that once it's done. So now, as you can see, this was successfully implemented. So let's go in here and let's publish this. Let's update this. Let's publish anyway. We'll look into the security issues towards the end of this video. And now it's updating it. This will take a little bit. And now it has a smart implementation, so the webhooks should not bounce back. Let's try this. There you go. Now we can do one thing in RevenueCat. We can go inside of here and send a test event. Let's send a test event. You see this test event comes back, success true. So it seems like the header issue was resolved. So we can probably close this now. I think this is obsolete. And we're going to take a look at this. Let's share my screen. We're now going to close the application. Let's go on the Paywall application. There you go. I'm the free user. Let's upgrade to premium. I'm now going to go on the 7-day plan because I got to switch between those to, get it to send those events. Let's try making an in-app purchase in native 1, and this will also work one-to-one on Google Android. And now it's verifying the purchase. I hope the webhook goes through and it should update it. Now, it's not updating it on the front end yet. So I will hope that when I close the application, it updated, and I hope that the webhook went through. Doesn't seem to be like it. So we want to probably actually look into RevenueCat again. So let's do RevenueCat and let's log into that. I probably closed it too early. Let's go to our where is it? To our Paywall application, not TaskFlow. I want to do Paywall. And we see all of those events happening. That is nice. There's a renewal and all that kind of stuff on the Paywall app. But what we need to do is we need to look into our integrations, into our webhooks, because it still seems like there is an issue. Could be an issue with the function. As you can see, this webhook went through successfully. And it did send following payload. So I'm just going to copy the request body here, right? But I did not grant access to it. There's no access being provided. Let me try opening the application again just to verify. It doesn't seem like there's any upgrade happening. So let's tell it following. Actually, there's one thing I want to check. I want to check into the users database, actually in databases, on profiles, right? Profile? I don't think we have a subscription. No, there's no subscription, no entitlement bound. So there's an internal server error on our backend. So let's go into the chat mode. Let's say I just saw that the webhook was successful, but I did not get access. Here is the payload RC sent. And I'm going to paste this in chat mode so we can have Lovable take a look at that, reason about it, find a solution for it. So we'll just take a look at that. And this will now look into this. It will say, I can see the issue. Looking at the edge function logs and payload you provided, the webhook is being received successfully, and the entitlement is being detected correctly. But there's a critical bug in the webhook handler. Perfect. I found the issue. Looking at the logs, I can see unhandled event type undefined. The problem is that the event type is not being extracted correctly. The RevenueCat payload has the structure event type. So there's an object event with a key type, and then the value is the product type, the event type. But the code on line 56 is doing following. It's extracting it incorrectly. Okay, the code tries to extract the type from the top level of the payload, but type is actually inside the event. So there is a dot notation error going on. So let's implement this fix. It should be a simple fix. It should just do data dot type. Oh no, it should do event dot type instead of just trying to get event. So it seems like a dot notation issue to me. It's now resolving that. This is why when you're setting up those integrations, it's super helpful just like switching between Lovable and RevenueCat, like going into RevenueCat saying, hey, okay, response went through, but it didn't work. So let's try debugging this better. Let's copy the request body that, RevenueCat sent to our Lovable backend or Supabase, and then we'll feed that data back into Lovable. So Lovable is not boxed into its limited context. It can overlook the entirety of the whole situation going on. So now we got this published. So let's publish and update this. And now we're just going to then test this on our device. So as you can see, I just opened the application. So let's try opening the paywall now. Let's try going on continue. There you go. Now we can do the purchase, and now it should hopefully upgrade to the appropriate entitlement here in this application. The paywall should confirm. Now I do have to apologize. My internet is a little bit slow here. So it's still validating the purchase. And now, as you can see, Pro Access is active. So the purchase was just confirmed. So now the user has access to those entitlements. We confirmed it in there, and we can now track all of those financial information here, our revenue, our customer journey, all that kind of stuff here for our users and their Supabase /Lovable Cloud / whatever backend you want to use, user IDs inside of RevenueCat. We have now a one-stop shop solution, and the user just upgrade, and now we can do paywalls and all that kind of stuff and give them access to specific APIs and validate their access to specific features on the backend, right? So if we take a look at Lovable on our backend here, you will see that in our database here for subscribers, we should have some stuff inside of here. Let's take a look at the database. At least on profiles, there should be something. As you can see, the entitlement is Pro Access. So we are storing the entitlement. So then when you're trying to gate API calls, you can say, hey, if RC entitlement equals Pro Access, only then run this API. If not, open the paywall, ask them to upgrade. And that's how simple you can set up RevenueCat paywalls, in-app purchases with cross-platform support for iOS and Android. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate that. And see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.